morning again. Here we are again on our YouTube channel, sharing views, sharing dialogues, sharing ideas. Welcome to this webisode. Well, right now in the world, there's a lot going on always in international news and geopolitics. But with this episode, I just want to focus much on what has been a big topic in a lot of international news circuits, which has been the United States elections. Yes, this is the episode. So, before we get into this year's elections, let's just give a little dialogue around the history of elections in the United States, or at least from what I know, from I was a young person coming up to this time. It's always been a two-party system. We're going to go through like a couple little facts, that everybody probably knows, but it's good to remind the people because people forget. Every 4 years they forget, in fact. And 2 years. I'm not even going to name the two parties because you all already know their names. And practically, more or less, each one gets about an 8-year term. One gets 8 years, another one gets 8 years. If it hadn't been for this year, the name Trump in the election, we would be repeating history all over again, especially if you didn't watch TV and you just read print, because it would be Bush and Clinton this year. But, well, fortunately or unfortunately, we have Trump this year, But he's the same old Trump, the same old Clump. I'm going to have to say it's the same old Clump, right? The Clinton and the Trump, because one is Democrat and one is Republican. So the two-party system continues to rule the politics of the United States, or so it would seem. Because all of these that dream illusions of grandeur of their country or their political party in the United States that they belong to are fooled every election cycle by every leader who runs on those tickets. Promises of change, of this, of that, of the next thing, whichever side you fall on the aisle there. It's the same rhetoric that they give you every year. So you have the illusion that you, the person who shares these ideas, has a sense of democracy and control, especially if your side wins. But you don't have it. We don't rule the political system in the United States. There's no such thing as democracy anymore in the United States' political system. For one simple reason: corporate takeover. Corporate takeover. Or maybe it's always been like that in history from the time beginning. You see, the United States political parties, especially the main two, are all funded and supported by special interests of many corporations. Recently, at least in my lifespan, and especially after many of the draconian and changing of the laws into a fascist state of the United States have been enacted, such as the law that allows a corporation to pose as a person and donate as much money as they want to a political candidate. Other laws that have allowed this political system to remain not fluid, not democratic, by not allowing equal campaigning rights to any political party that wished to be in the cycle of the United States' elections. There's many other parties in the United States. There's green parties, there's socialist parties, there's libertarian parties. There's even some tea parties for all of you that like a little tea time. But because there's no laws enacted to make a balance, especially during campaign times and election times, the two parties that have all the companies and corporate, and plus some of us unfortunate sheeple who believe in their actual false political ideas that they shove down your ears and throats every election cycle, false promises. We, of course, are left out of it. We're all stuck in it. We're all a victim of it at the same chance there, you know? It's a situation where when you try to take a side or believe in the things, the rhetoric that you hear, you almost feel like you yourself are like a fool amongst fools, you know? Because in this election cycle this year, you hear things that maybe you've never heard before. You hear things, but at the same time, these things that they give you are just to satisfy your ear. So here we are in the year 2016, again looking like in the United States' political situation, it's not going to change. It's not going to change. Whether Trump wins or Clinton wins, we're going to have, in the next span of the 8 years, the United States trying its best to invade Iran, trying its best to set foot and interject again into the politics of Central and South America and the Caribbean. We're going to see more tensions rising with Russia and Asia, simply because the corporations that control the United States need money to fill their coffers. And it's sad because there's so many other ways that people could be sharing ideas, making money, making fluid economies, if without war, if these ones that were in power too were to be reformed and taken out of power. I used the word reform this morning with you all because maybe some of my comments amongst other friends and other people and other videos maybe suggest that I have a radical idea about the certain power structure that exists in the United States at this time. And while I do have a radical idea, I do believe that this system, this two-party political system in the United States will never change unless, of course, maybe 3 events happen. The first event, the one I wish to happen, a true reform party that launches a campaign of taking the corporations out of the governments of the United States, reversing some of the draconian laws, such as the one we just mentioned, where companies and corporations are allowed to give as much money to candidates, to end term limits on senators and congressmen, to really reform and practically change all of the election laws, all of the laws that govern these leaders, because they're supposed to follow the law too, even though we see them break the law time and time again and get away with a slap on the wrist while others have to lose their careers or face jail time. A real reform party. I wish that would happen, for all the sake of my friends and family that live in the United States still. If that were to happen, well, there's a chance. The second event and the third event I'm going to mention are two events that I really would not want to see, but at the same time, if they were to happen, at the same time would change this political situation of the United States that not only affects you in the United States, but the entire security of our world. Second event would be straight revolution. Civil unrest leading to revolution in that country. It's a hard word to say. It's an easy word to say, revolution, but it's a hard word to enact, because most all revolutions require blood and violence and killing and death and people being put in jail. It's not a romantic idea, but some in the media and in Hollywood and in social media romanticize the word revolution. But revolution is the second choice of that situation, an overthrow of the government of the United States. The third situation that would change the political situation of the United States, I laugh at just because I say the situation to me, not because this is another one that I wish not to happen, but would definitely change the political course of that country, which would be if, well, Jah Almighty, or even the circumstances of our universe, or whatever you believe in, was to send some type of natural disaster upon that country. We don't talk about just like a Hurricane Katrina. We mean like a serious, I mean, well, I mean like a serious natural disaster. So that's what we're faced with this year in the election cycles of the United States. No change at all, no hope at all. A little of my predictions for those countries. I hope that y'all are able to prepare yourselves for this continued world invasion by the United States. Prepare yourselves, because we just mentioned at the beginning of the video what will happen in the next 8 years, no matter who wins. No matter who wins. Yes, we say, oh yeah, Trump is a nice guy, and you know, he maybe doesn't have a background of politics of anti-war, but look who's backing him. He's being backed by the same corporations and companies that he himself has been a part of. He's been the one backing these politicians for many years. He knows. And yes, maybe you like to hear the rhetoric that he gives because it's fresh to your ears, and maybe it's something you've never heard before. But it's the same old stuff. He talks about building a wall between Mexico and making Mexico pay for it. It's not the first time that a politician has built a wall and made Mexico pay for it. The Democrats have done the same. The Republicans have done the same. It's just he's coming out with no shame in saying the things that he says, which gets a lot of people, again, lost in his false hope that he gives. Because no matter if Trump wins, he's still backed by a lot of the Zionist legislation. He'll continue to support the Israeli side of the conflict in Palestine. The same way with Hillary Clinton. She has a track record of warmongering. I think that Hillary Clinton thinks she's some type of reincarnated Roman or Greek senator who can just assassinate her political rivals or anybody that tries to expose some of her corrupt dealings. You should be afraid of that one. Because we know of all the things she's done already in her voting record to support wars. And well, you know, you had your chances there with Sanders or whatever you thought was a chance, because he, the same way, was a big supporter of the drone program. I mean, these are issues that are never talked about in the corporate media neither. It's so silly, man. The other day, I just happened to be passing through another civilized place where they have cable TV, because I don't live by that stuff. I don't have no cable TV. I don't have to be subjected to their corporate media. But I just passed through the Babylon system. You see it on the TV, the tube sometime. Not the YouTube, the TV tube, the telly. And it's funny, it was at the DNC convention just after Chelsea Clinton had spoke, you know, and I was quite afraid of Chelsea Clinton too, because she talked about protecting LGBT rights at home and abroad. I mean, enough respect to all of the whatever rights y'all in the United States feel like you have, whether you're black or you're gay or whatever you are. No, you know, that's fine in your country, but at home and abroad, that means that Chelsea Clinton would support her mother if her mother was to put sanctions on a country like Jamaica, or many countries in Africa and Central America and South America that believe in a more traditional value being exemplified to their societies. So she would put sanctions or invade their countries for that, because that's what it sounded like to me. But of course, the commentators afterwards, all they could talk about is not the issues. Not the fact that the United States is projecting wars onto other countries. Not the fact that the United States' economy itself and infrastructure in the country is being left in shambles because we were too busy giving money to all the other countries. None of these issues are brought up by the commentators as to why they're not hearing this from these people that are brought on these stages, whether it's the DNC or the RNC or whatever convention I'm having. No, they're talking about how, oh, as a mother, I would feel so proud to have my daughter doing this and talking about me, and makes me look so human, and makes me look just like everybody else. They're actors. All of these commentators call themselves journalists. They're actors, acting out a modern day novela. It's a Spanish word for soap opera. sad, man. Sad. It's a fake political situation. And it's so sad that most people in the entire world believe in it. They believe in that shit. Sorry to cuss, but they believe in it. Just the other day, the same way I passing through another little cafe or something and the CNN on and whatever. I didn't watch it. I would have my back turned to it, fortunately. But the people in front of me had their eyes turned to it. And one of the ladies, she's not American. She's from another country, like this country that I live in here. And she said, asked me who I would vote for. And I told her, well, if I really, really had a choice, I'd give her my answer and this and that and whatnot. And then she, seemed to be a Clinton supporter because she said that, oh, I feel like if Clinton wins, the world will be a safer place. I mean, a good answer because she's not American. She really don't care about the integral problems of y'all's society right now, inside of y'all's society, like inside your cities and your states and stuff. Not talking about what you feel like the media tells you that you got to care about in Turkey or Syria, like that's any of your business. And I looked at her and told her she's wrong, because the world will not be safer so long as whoever wins in the political elections of the United States belongs to those two parties, or is a part of the corporate system, or this same corporate political fascist system that exists continues. That's why I said there's only three options for the change in that system. The first one, I really hope the best for the reform, some type of political campaign or movement that really catches fire in the United States and can change those laws, because once those laws are changed, then we could start to see a legitimate and fluid democratical elections going on. Let's go back to some pirate democracy. Huh? Every man vote count, every woman vote count, every whatever you want, a man or a woman or whatever you are in the United States, your vote counts. You care about your country, you care about the things, and bring back all the soldiers and things that are invading other people's country. Stop all the rhetoric that allows for that, because both sides of the aisle do it. Both aisles of the political system talk some rhetoric that why we have to care about invading somebody else's countries because they're violating some human right. But really the thing they don't want you to see is that they're going there for some natural resource that they want to gain as a company, and that's just an excuse. That's just something that they want to excuse off and push off to the people, like, that's so bad there, how they do that, and they're in Japan, they kill all the animals, and it's so horrible. Yeah, I think the videos are horrible too. And that's why you choose to live in your place wherever you are that you feel comfortable in. But some other societies and other nations have traditions and values that should be, at least if you don't respect it, you have enough consciousness as a human to know that murdering or destroying their country doesn't solve those situations. They don't show us the countless little children's bodies of starvations. They don't make these documentaries popular. They want to show you dead whales and dead dolphins and things like this. But they don't want to show the amount of dead bodies from these wars that the United States and its allies and others in Europe have gone into people's countries and done. Because it all started with that same simple little rhetoric. That, oh, we don't agree with what that society is doing. And oh, look, here's someone in that society too that they don't agree. Well, of course, you always have that in every society of the world. But does it have to come to armed conflict, bloodshedding of innocent people? There should be a no tolerance policy for any politician in the United States that supports that in any way. That's who deserves the next Nobel Peace Prize. I really, as much as I respect what image President Barack Obama wants to give of his personality or whatever, as a person, his policies, despite everything he's tried to do good, have also counteracted with the bad of continuing the drone systems. But maybe he's like, oh, I can't do it because of all, maybe they will kill him if he does it. Maybe these military industrial complexes, these corporate corporate prison industrial complexes, these Monsanto's people, they would kill him if he tried to do something different. And he just has to do a little this, a little that, but they counteract and nothing gets done. But I still really don't believe he deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, you all out there that belong to these people that decide that, how could you give someone a Nobel Peace Prize as continuing a drone program? that's continuing armed conflicts in the world. There should be a no tolerance policy for warmongering leaders in every society of the world. And that's how I end this blog. And well, I hope the best for all of us in this world, but I know there will be no safety no matter who wins in this year's political election in the United States for the rest of us in the world. So try your best to prepare for the worst. Peace out.